Alrighty. Hey peoples. So today I'm going to talk about me. It's always difficult to tell my story because I'm never really sure where I'm meant to start, because there's so many factors that kind of came into play to make me. So I guess I just start with the basic. I was born in North Sydney in New South Wales, in Australia, for those people who aren't familiar with the story. I was born premature. I was little. And for the first month of my life, I was in one of those humidity cribs. No one was allowed to touch me, and they thought I was going to die. They actually came in and told my mom, they said, look, really sorry, but your son is very small and very sickly, and he's probably not going to live. And if he does live, he's probably going to be, a sickly person. Which is a terrible thing to say to someone. Can you imagine saying that these days? But anyway, that's what doctors were like, and they told her that. And to top things off, I was allergic to my mother's milk, so I couldn't drink her milk. So they were giving me something else. I remember my mom telling me once they gave me condensed milk. Who knows? Anyway, but it turns out I didn't die, and clearly I wasn't small and sickly. I went back to live in North Sydney. And then I'm pretty sure it was a street called Raglan Street, which is crazy. I think I can just remember that from my birth certificate. I had an older brother, Matthew, and I had a younger sister, Anne. No, I didn't have a younger sister. After I get a younger sister. I'm a Irish twin. For those of you who don't know what an Irish twin is, only 11 months difference. So she'll actually catch me in age every year, which is kind of cool. So a month every year, my younger sister and I share the same age. And my older brother Matthew's a year older. My mom and dad were married. Didn't stay married very long. I'm pretty sure they're definitely separated by the time my sister was born, 11 months later. It was a pretty tumultuous, bad marriage, from what I heard. He was violent. But I remember asking my dad once. I said, hey, I called him John. I didn't call him Dad. That's strange. I said, why did you marry Mom? I mean, you guys are so different from each other. And he said to me, well, there were two girls. One was pretty, and her father owned a brewery. And I said, oh, wow. And he said, and there was your mom. She was a lot prettier, and her father owned pubs. And he goes, I preferred the prettier one, so I said, I'm going to get her. I said, oh, okay, fair enough. And I asked my mom, I said, why did you marry John? You guys seem so different. And she said, well, I looked at all the guys who were around, and he was the biggest and the baddest and the scariest guy that I knew. And I knew if I had him, he'd give me babies and no one would mess with me. I went, okay. I said, well, how did you know he was going to marry you? And she just looked at me like I was an idiot, like, are you kidding me? My mom was very, very, very good looking when she was young. She was a model, she was on TV and stuff. But they were so different from each other. My dad was from New Zealand. He grew up in South Auckland, fighting, and he got tats up and down his arms. He's got long red hair and a big beard. And, back in the day when they used to put cigarettes under their shoulder in their shirt, he did that. And my mom was, a typical North Shore, upper middle class girl, really well educated, went to the best schools and everything. And they were so polar opposite. And then I said, oh, okay, well, I guess, everyone heard the same, right? Opposites attract. And what happened was when they met at a party, and they kind of got along. My old man, he was charismatic. He was a charismatic kind of guy, talked well and he was funny. And he said, can I get your number? And my mum said, no. And she said, I'll give you my address. And she said, well, why don't you give me your number? And he goes, I don't have a phone number, I'll give you my address. So he gave her address, and that's it. They didn't see each other. And then, I think it was about a year later, he got a letter in the post from my mom saying, look, my parents put me in a mental hospital. I don't want to be here. Can you come get me? Here's the address. And I said to my old man, I said, well, what did you do? He goes, I jumped on my motorbike and I went around there and turned up and said, I'm here to pick up Sharon McKittrick. That's my mom's name. And he goes, are you married? Is that your wife? He goes, no. Is your sister? He goes, no. He goes, oh, you can't see her. Get out. Back in the day, it was the 70s or something. And he goes, tell you what, I'll find her myself. He wasn't one who was used to getting told he can't do stuff. So what he did was he just went in looking through the windows and opening doors until he found her. Found her in one room, basically kicked in the door, picked her up. She was, lying on a bed asleep, who knows, as sedatives or something. He said she was asleep. And he woke her up, took her out. They tried to stop him. He just basically told him, fuck off. Put him on the back of the motorbike and drove her back to his apartment. There was a lot of bad things that happened in their relationship. But this particular thing, their particular story, when you look at it in the nicest way, is really romantic. I really like it. Because although she was pregnant, 4 times in 3 years, the first baby died. She was electrocuted just before she was due to give birth, putting in a light bulb. They were renovating a house or painting a house or something. And the baby passed away. And then there's my older brother Matthew, me, and my sister Anne. Anyway, so it didn't work out. They broke up. She took all the kids. She took everything, and just it just went horrible. There's a massive 10-year court case or something that just kind of drilled in. They never ever spoke well of each other. My mum had nothing nice to say about him at all, ever. And my father basically just dismissed her as some, crazy bitch who fucked him over. There's an argument for and against that. Anyway, my old man went on with his partying ways till he was 56. He basically, he gave up drinking to take up smoking marijuana, which, is probably a good thing to begin with, but when you're smoking it all day, every day, and he basically lost everything. He lost contact with all of his children. He lost, he wasn't working. He just was some, kind of old biker guy in housing commission or, in the States of council flats or, I don't know what they call them in the US. It's housing projects or something. So basically he was just some broke old white guy. Well, he wasn't really that old, 56, but he was old because he smoked, cigarettes and marijuana all day, every day. Anyway, he fell over one day in his house and couldn't get up. Rushed him off to the hospital and he had leukemia. And they said, look, you're really sick, mate. And he died within 3 months. But before he passed away, about 2 days before, I was in Japan. I was training. I trained to fight. And I got a call from the office. It said, hey, you need to call your father. And I went, hey, sure, yeah. I said, yeah, call your father. And I said, hey, John, how you doing? He goes, oh, I'm not good. He goes, I'm sick. I go, yeah, I know you're sick. I remember you told me before I left. Because I re-established contact with him. He was a terrible father, but not a bad guy. So I spoke to him and stuff like that. Anyway, so he was really sick. I said, how sick are you? He said, look, he goes, I'm in a hospice. I said, what's a hospice? And he said, a hospice is a place you go to die. I said, well, what, are you going to die? He goes, yeah, I'm sick. I go, okay, I'm going to get on the next flight and I'll come back to Australia. So I got back to Australia, got to the airport. and the airport's in Botany, and I went straight into RPA, not RPA, can't remember. Anyway, is the hospital right in the city, right near King's Cross. Anyway, so it's not that far. It's about an hour from the airport, maybe less, give or take with traffic. So I get there and I say to the person in front, say, hey, I'm here to see John Hogan. And I said, who are you? I said, I'm their son. I'm his son. And I went in there and they said, look, I'm sorry, your father passed away. I said, is he still there? She says, yeah. So I went in to see the body. I thought, oh, well. And lo and behold, my mother was there. And I was like, now you got to remember, these two never had a good thing to say about each other, ever. And she was there, and I said, hey, Mom. I was confused. Like, he didn't have any friends, and, he'd burnt every bridge. He was a drug addict. But she was there, and I said, what are you doing? And she looked at me with a face that kind of looked at me like, like a mother looks at a child when the child is asking a stupid question. And I said, I thought you hate John. Why would you come in? She goes, Peter, I was pregnant 4 times to him and had 3 children to him. I loved him. And I remember that feeling of course. A woman might have a pregnancy to a man accidentally, so to speak. But they don't have 3 accidental children to the same guy. I'm pregnant 4 times. And of course she loves him. She said we were young, we were stupid, we couldn't communicate well, and sure we could have done a lot better, but we loved each other. And that was a really healing moment in my life. I went, oh, it made me feel so much better to know that my parents, they loved each other. I mean, clearly didn't fix everything, but you want to know that you come from a family where, at least for a while, they loved each other.